unpremeditated, but by design. Hence there's noisy papers at my feet. This is Brooklyn, and that's Queens. Got that shot out of the airplane. This was January 2022. It was 44 degrees and totally clear landing in New York. It had been 14 degrees 2 nights before, 20 degrees during the day, and it was 14 degrees the next night, cloudy and little flecks of snow. There was this tiny window of time as I happened to be flying in when it was totally clear. You can see the video I put up and it's really great. Brooklyn, Queens, from an altitude of probably, I don't know, that's the tallest building in Brooklyn, right? I'm a good 4,000 feet above that, 8,000 feet above that. Okay, so between 2014 and 2018, I wrote a short story. It's called The Ever-Changing Chrysopole. The background on this is as follows. Manuel Vázquez Montalbán. Have you read him? Manuel Vázquez Montalbán was a novelist who wrote immensely popular novels that had a detective in them, Spanish language. It won the Planeta Prize, you know, the largest prize in the Spanish language, I believe. And Manuel Vázquez Montalbán had a character. He was this just great detective character, you know. And he had a retinue of interesting side characters, and he had a crazy history that you'd learn about as you went along, you know, and it was really great to read that stuff in my 20s and 30s. And I learned about it directly, not from school, not from any teacher, not from any librarian, not from any person in the West, if you think about it. Because I had read every single Agatha Christie. I had read every single Hercule Poirot by the time I was 16, for sure. We would go to the library every summer. I was just pouring through those things. Summer just burned through Agatha Christie's, like, you know. So I had read, and some of those many times, bored on a trip, the only thing you have is this damn Agatha Christie book, or you come to some place to stay, and the only thing they have is books you've already read. So, you know, I had read Sherlock, obviously. When I was younger, too young, couldn't understand it fully. Then older again, right? Then TV, of course, you had Columbo. You had all the TV I grew up with that had serialized Rockford Files. Great writing on these shows, you know. Despite all that, no one ever said to me, there's a guy called Montalbán, he's got this character, and hundreds of millions of people were reading this stuff in the Spanish language. And not until I was like 26 years old, and I was in Lisbon, and I was spending time with Gilberto Gouveia. This is an old memory. He says to me, have you read Montalbán? I'm like, no. He goes, that's what I'm reading right now, and I think you should check it out. It's really great. He didn't say anything more than that. We had limited, my Portuguese is zero practically. His English was good, but what am I doing in Lisbon speaking English with him, you know? So we didn't talk a lot. We just sat more than we talked, I think, which was good, because I was talking way too much, as usual, all around that, on the project and on all kinds of things. But that is how I learned about Montalbán. And then how I read all this stuff. And then I wanted to do that. I was like, that's a great idea. And so I tried to do that. And this was my attempt. He's an Oakland PI, and his name is Freddy Pico. And I finished the first chapter after 8 years. Obviously, I'm not working on it every day, and this life is continuing and going on, so whenever I could work on it, I worked on it. But I know it's done now. So I put it up on the emptycocktake.org site. You can read it. I think it's about 6,000 words, chapter 1 of the Freddy Pico mystery, entitled The Ever-Changing Chrysopole.